Elon Musk is on a roll today. He's in rare form as we see this progression here of the clown makeup and wig being applied in regard to we will release the Epstein list. We just need more time. The Epstein list is on my desk. There's no Epstein list. Oh man, that and so much more that I got to show you guys this one coming out of Los Angeles, LA, California. Karen Bass. We haven't talked about her for a little bit. Talked about AOC. Talked about Hakeem Jeffries. We talked about uh, Fetterman. We talked about Zoran Mamdani, Adam Schiff. Like we talked about a lot of folks. Okay, and here we have Karen Bass currently on the scene, but the scene that she's on, a spectacle, I guess. Not sure. I don't really know exactly what's going on here, but I'm going to share with you. We're probably going to figure this out together. You guys are very, very helpful. I read all your comments and I appreciate you. And first, I want to show you. There's so much I want to show you. But first, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this and then I'm going to read you some of the comments that stood out to me from this video, from this TikTok reel. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys the last 3 videos that I uploaded. I'm going to show you guys the back end here. So the last 3 videos I uploaded, lost 2 subscribers, lost 27 subscribers, lost 5 subscribers. And, interestingly enough, the like rates, 99%, 99%, 99.6%, a lot of good comments, and the views are pretty good too. And so basically the only logical explanation that I can really come to here is that things have changed. Not necessarily my content, not necessarily the conversation. Although some people, I read the comments and I realize that some people don't know how to read titles and they choose to ignore separation and punctuation. I get it, but you can't say my title is clickbait if you just chose to read it incorrectly. I mean, I guess you could, but it doesn't make it true. But that's just it. The people watching, the people, or at least I thought were watching, and the people who are unsubscribing, there's nothing I can do about that. Because I think what's going on here is I think that there's a little bit of manipulation with the algorithm. And I think that the manipulation is, like if I made similar content, if I started a new channel and made similar content, and let me know if you guys are interested in this case study, maybe I'll try it. But if I made similar content on a new channel, but actually, I don't even know if it'd be for Democrats. If I made similar content the same way I do it, but the content was to make Trump look bad, make MAGA look bad, make Republicans look bad, and make the GOP look bad, conservatives, make anyone on the right look bad, I'd be willing to bet that I get more views, I gain more subs, and I make more money. And it's because it's a manipulation by the algorithm. It's a manipulation by an outside force that is pouring money into the platform and trying to get a jump start, get ahead of midterms and elections by pouring that money. And so Elon Musk is, he's another character here and a culprit as well. But, he's going to try to use his money as influence And long story short, I think that some folks have actually changed their minds. I think some folks have, they're believing the hype. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. They are essentially falling back asleep. And the push, the financial input, the brainwashing is literally causing my videos to lose subscribers as these folks switch sides, jump ship. And it's not my fault. It's just that people's opinions and their values and their trust and their faith and their knowledge and education today, July 7, 2025, is nowhere near the same as it was July 7, 2024, or the last half of 2024, as we were really getting into this for the election. And so every video I make is a roll of the dice. It's a crapshoot on who will it reach of my subscriber base and audience, and are they still on board with President Trump and MAGA? Or are they believing the hype? Are they falling for, the left's tactics and propagandized rhetoric and jumping ship because they're like, we like you, Kevin, but we're not going to stay subscribed because we don't love President Trump. We don't love Donald Trump anymore. And so we're just going to leave because we don't want to hear about it. And maybe it's not Trump. Maybe it's Pam Bondi. Maybe it's Scott Bessent. Maybe it's Stephen Miller. Maybe it's Lutnick. Maybe it's Hegseth. Maybe it's Noam. Maybe it's Gabbard. Like, there's so many pieces to this, moving parts, to love or to love to hate, that it's hard for us to really keep up. It's hard for us to really keep up. I will say, I think there's certain videos that actually do better than others as far as views and retaining and gaining subscribers. But the closer I get to Trump, the more likely I am to see a reduction of views and loss of subscribers, if that makes sense. But either way, we're just going to talk. We're going to share. We're going to explore. We're going to discover together. And this is one that I discovered earlier today, and I am sharing with you now. So, full disclosure, I don't know who this guy is. It just popped up on my feed. And much like everything else that you see and hear, it's up to you to decide on whether or not this is a true story or not.
So I have a friend that is exceedingly wealthy. Like, not rich, but hundreds of millions, all right? And he was just talking to me about the big, beautiful bill that just passed, okay? And I don't think you're going to hear about wealthy people talking about their side of the big, beautiful bill, because you'd be so disgusted. And rich, wealthy people know not to talk about money like that. So I'm going to tell you how it impacts my already exceedingly wealthy buddy, who is set to inherit another small amount in the form of tens of millions of dollars from a trust, or one of his trusts, okay? He was casually talking to his money guy, who said, yeah, so if this thing passes, you'll save in the neighborhood of $5-point-something million.
And let me know in the comments, would any of you like to save money? Hey friends, let me know down below, who here wants to save money? Odds are you're not swimming in millions or expecting a huge inheritance of multi-million dollars, right? And I've been digging deep into ways to help you with money and finance. Today, I explored passive income and wealth building ideas to see what could work for all you seniors on Medicare. And here are essentially three practical ideas that I found. The first being dividend stocks, which is investing in stable companies that pay regular dividends. Even small investments can grow over time if you reinvest those payouts. Next, high yield savings or CDs, which is a place where you can park your money in safe high yield savings accounts or certificates of deposit for low risk interest income. And rates are actually decent right now. Obviously, gold and silver, precious metals come to mind, but there's not much passive income besides just general appreciation and increase in value. So we're moving on to affiliate marketing, where you can share products that you love on a blog or a vlog or on social media and earn commissions. And it's low cost if you're already making content online. But here's the catch, folks. Most passive income ideas need some upfront cash to get started, which can be tough for many of us, right? And so if building new income feels out of reach for you, then the next best thing is saving as much money as possible, right? Makes sense. And that's where our friends at Chapter come in. And they're a game changer for seniors on Medicare. No matter what you hear about the new bill, debt crisis, or economic shifts, one truth remains. Every dollar you save counts. Chapter has helped people like you save, on average, over $1,000 a year on Medicare costs like premiums, prescriptions, and plans. But there's one thing all those savers did. There's one thing they have in common. And do you know what that is? They picked up the phone and called Chapter at 270-467-2426. It's fast, free, and easy. And the number's on your screen, down in the description and in the pinned comment. Those who called and got really, really good news. They're now keeping more of their Social Security checks, and they're thrilled they acted, especially in times like these. So don't wait. Call Chapter today at 270-467-2426. Stop wasting money and start saving on Medicare and healthcare. And let me know which passive income idea interests you the most, or one you would want me to do a deep dive into on another video. Let me know down below, okay? And real quick, just as a quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so please consult with one for investment decisions. And for Medicare savings, trust Chapter to guide you.
In estate tax. So my buddy was like joking around like, yeah, I guess I could buy like another villa. But I mean, I already have like, he's just like, he's like, it's just going to go on top of the pile and earn me an additional, $100,000+ a year in passive income, because, his average returns are between 8 and 12% on his money. Like, he's not going to spend it. That money's not going back into the economy because he already buys and has everything that one could possibly want. And I think this bill is even more disgusting when you think of it in the context of not just how it cuts funding to cancer research and kicks tens of millions of people off of their health insurance, and little kids going to school no longer can eat lunch in some instances. But you hear about why, and it's so that my buddy can just have an extra $5 million that he just casually brought up as if it was change that he found under his couch pillows. Like, oh yeah, it's a terrible bill. And he didn't even vote for Trump. He's like, this is a fucking horrible bill. He's like, but on the flip side, my accountant did tell me that I'll save $5 million, give or take. And you're not going to hear wealthy people talking about this because they know how ridiculous it is. They're not going to talk about this publicly. They're not going to put their face on camera and say, yeah, I'm the reason. or the money that is being taken out of little kids' mouths is just going straight to me, and I don't even need the shit. They're not going to tell you about this because it's even in the context of why some kid can't eat, it's even more disgusting. So I have a friend that is exceedingly wealthy.
And so here's some of the comments. This one here says exactly. They won't invest in our economy. They'll store it up. Trickle-down economics is a proven lie. And people will literally die because they can't get health care Mark Cuban told us this. He told us not to vote for Trump and call it what it is, a blatant act of class war. Yes, this is why tax cuts for rich people don't help the economy. You want to stimulate the economy? Give middle class and working class people money. They spend it. Eat the rich. And, like he said, rich people, they're not going to talk about this. And I find myself oftentimes reluctant to talk about these comments because I'm not saying I'm rich, but I am saying that the idea that you just give people money because they spend it, eat the rich, is the dumbest fucking thing you could possibly say. And I know that there's going to be some people out there that are going to say, Kevin, I'm leaving. I'm unsubscribing because, why aren't you for giving money to everybody, to the poor? And it's because if the government is just giving money to the poor, then we find ourselves in a situation where we are only and solely dependent on the government. It's not just about spending the money. It's about creating the money, earning the money. And we do that through legitimate business. We do that through commerce. We do that through trade. If the only money that we have is circulating because of money being printed by our own government, given to people, then to pay taxes for the government to then redistribute out, it's literally just trading sand from one hand to the other. Like, it's absolutely nothing. It is pointless. We need money coming in from other countries, okay, into our country. And then we need as much of that money to stay in this country and shore up the dollar, make the dollar stronger instead of weaker. And you know how you make the dollar weaker? You print more of them and you give them away to people who don't earn them. There's that. And here's Elon Musk again. And he asks, what's the time? Oh, look, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again. The official Jeffrey Epstein pedophile arrest counter, quadruple zero. So you got folks out here on TikTok passively aggressively talking shit about the big beautiful bill by way of a friend of theirs who's really, really rich, who doesn't like the bill, but's going to get a $5.5 million windfall, tax windfall. Then you got the richest man in the world, a billionaire multiple times over, talking shit and throwing the Trump administration under the bus because of Jeffrey Epstein. You got that. I feel like I'm on an island. Maybe one day Florida will become an island. But I see Ron DeSantis here, and I'm going to share this one with you. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calls on Elon Musk to put his resources towards a balanced budget and term limits for Congress amendment. Says that would be far more successful than a new political party. And it's just like, where is that conversation? You don't think Elon Musk is going to benefit tremendously from this big, beautiful bill from a tax perspective? Meanwhile, he could be pouring his money back into this idealistic, socialist, and communist society as we take the American party filled with a bunch of non-Americans and make it we're trying to mimic the CCP here with communist regime and socialist ideals. Why isn't he pouring his fortune into the communities? Why isn't he just a massive philanthropist? Why isn't he using his money and his resources to put towards a balanced budget and term limits for Congress instead of trying to fight the very party that he was all for and with until he got butthurt by President Trump and Scott Bessent? Where's that?
What he's done. The problem is when you do another party, especially if you're running on some of the issues that he talks about, that would end up, if he funds Senate candidates and House candidates in competitive races, that would likely end up meaning the Democrats would win all the competitive Senate and House races. And so, look, I'm a Republican. I don't want to see that happen. I think if you want to, get involved and hold accountable, we do have a problem in the Republican Party with these D.C. congressmen. They always run saying there's out of control spending and they're going to spend less, and they never do it. And so there's a gap between the campaign rhetoric and then the performance. Elon was doing Doge, and a lot of Congress didn't want anything to do with actually adopting the Doge cuts, just like they haven't wanted to adopt the Trump executive orders on immigration and all these other things, which I think you have to adopt in law if you want them to have staying power. So I think there is a lot of frustration with the gap between the rhetoric in their district and the performance once they get into D.C. But the way you do that is expose that in a primary and show that there's another way forward. Honestly, if you're concerned about the debt, I wouldn't even worry about that, because I don't think just electing a few better people is going to change the trajectory. We need the incentives in Washington are going to lead to these outcomes, really, regardless of the outcome of elections at this point. So you need to do a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and you can do that through the states. You can do it through Article 5. We've got 28 states that have approved this. There's another 4 or 5 that are on the docket. Once you hit 34, then you write an amendment, and then the states are able to ratify that. You need 3/4. If Elon wanted to weigh in on that and work on those state legislatures, he would have a monumental impact on doing this. And we also need term limits for members of Congress. And so you can do both of those things. But I think if you did that, all of a sudden, that moves the needle on both of those issues. Under Article 5 of the Constitution, you are going to see major positive changes, but you have to change the incentives and the structures up there, because we've seen it time and time again. You have the rhetoric, same results. When it comes to debt. And so this is one way to do it, and it's within our grasp to do it. Florida's already certified both of those.
I guess this is the part of the video where I should have made it abundantly clear that Elon Musk seemingly has committed political suicide. He has unalived his political career. It's actually pretty interesting. Elon Musk is eligible to run for governor. Elon Musk, if he wanted to get so involved, he could run for governor. He could have run for governor in California. He could run for governor in Texas. But instead, he's not. Instead, granted, he's going after like the big fish. He's going after Congress, House and Senate, but he's not necessarily doing anybody any favors here, because think about it. Why did RFK Jr. decide to put off his campaign and help President Trump? Granted, he was offered a cabinet position, Health and Human Services Secretary, but it was because he didn't want to take away from the votes that Republicans would have needed to win, ultimately giving the advantage to Democrats and Kamala Harris, Tim Walz. And Elon Musk, he has to be smart enough to realize that that's exactly what he's doing. He's only going to be hurting Republicans in the GOP and inevitably helping Democrats, unless that was his plan all along. Here we have Caroline Leavitt now defending the FBI and the DOJ on the Epstein stuff.
The DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat.
I'm going to tell you guys right now that Peter Doocy is essentially, he's hearing and or making up the idea that Pam Bondi said she was going to release these the files or release the list or whatever, when he himself just reread the quote of her saying, in response to the question of will it be released, she says, it's sitting on my desk. At what point did she say she was going to release it? At what point did she say it was going to, be exposed? She said it's sitting on my desk. Caroline Leavitt has far more patience than I have to continue to do this. And it's only July and she's got a long way to go. And, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to continue on and have these debates, especially with Gunther Eagleman sharing this, as Caroline Leavitt is now defending the FBI and DOJ on the Epstein stuff, which I'm not 100% sure on his stance and position by saying that. It's pretty neutral. But others are a little bit more vocal about their stance and position on this, and I'll share that with you guys in just a moment. Luke Rudkowski, which I'm pretty sure is on the left, says Trump is now praising the FBI after their cover-up of the Epstein files. Donald J. Trump, the FBI, under the direction of Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, is back to the basics, locking up criminals and cleaning up America's streets. We have the greatest law enforcement professionals in the world, but politics and corrupt leadership often prevented them from doing their job. That's no longer the case, and now they have been unleashed to do their jobs, and they're doing just that. Keep it up. Make America safe again. Yeah. We'll take a break from that, and we'll come back to it, because I got another clip there, and Drew Hernandez says we are being gaslit from the same Trump post. And there's Dan Bongino. I'll play that for you guys. This is Dan Bongino when he was still on his podcast. And Stu Peters says, watch Dan Bongino sell his soul in real time.
Huge story. Again, not a lot of people are talking about. There is a little current of information I'm getting that the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi may be finally releasing a lot of information on this Jeffrey Epstein case, which is a huge deal. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I'm hoping it does. I've been covering it for a long time. The Jeffrey Epstein case, you do not know all the details of this thing, I promise. There are a lot of really obviously powerful people. This part you know, but the specific names we may not, including, I believe, the Clintons, based on information I discussed yesterday, who are knee-deep in involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, and no one can figure out what the level of entanglement is. Jeffrey Epstein met with Obama's fixer, his lawyer, Catherine Rumler, who was always the one in the middle of these Obama scandals, and we can't figure out why, what they're hiding. Here's Marsha Blackburn, who has been all over this. She's a senator from Tennessee, Republican, obviously. And she's like, hey, man, is it time now? It's time to start overturning that rock and seeing what's underneath it. Check this out.
I've repeatedly requested a subpoena for the complete unredacted Epstein flight logs from the FBI. I've also pushed for the release of Ghislaine Maxwell's unredacted little black book of contacts and addresses. The American people have the right to know who flew on his planes, who witnessed the crimes, and who potentially participated in his global sex trafficking ring. Yet time and again, in the last Congress, Democrat leadership and then FBI Director Wray stonewalled my request. But now, with Republican control of Congress and President Trump back in the Oval Office, we're going to see some real change on this issue. Just last week, the president's excellent pick for FBI Director Kash Patel vowed to work with me in releasing the Epstein records and breaking apart the trafficking rings that harm countless women and children across our country. To be clear, this is not a celebrity issue. This is about ending modern day slavery and finding out who is participating in these sex trafficking rings.
Did you hear the key part of that? The Ghislaine Maxwell Black Book. What names are in there, man? You understand how many powerful people probably want this thing to desperately go away? How many people were interconnected with this Epstein sex ring operation? I heard from a reporter once that there are tapes. A very well-respected reporter, many of you know, that there are a lot of tapes out there of a lot of people. I'm not ever going to let this story go because of what I heard from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I talked about it yesterday. You can go check it out. I'm not letting it go ever. Ever.
But here we go, folks. The beginning of Karen Bass, or at least segment for this video just now. Disgraced Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is trying to stop a federal immigration raid. And she says they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. This is unacceptable.
I am going to say,
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Aaron Bass.
Mayor Bass.
Oh my
Any
God.
comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
They will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
Hey, I guess that's some form of leadership there. And this is, I could have sworn, oh, here it is. Here it is. Yeah. Brian Cardone asks, what's going on at MacArthur Park in Los Angeles, California? Looks like these militarized thugs are doing some kind of federal disappearing operation on street vendors in the park. And this is out of control. It's only going to get worse with the new ICE budget. And then here is Mayor Karen Bass on her post. And it says, this is footage from today in MacArthur Park. Minutes before, there were more than 20 kids playing. Then the military comes through. The second I hear about this, I went to the park to speak to the person in charge and tell them it needed to end now. Absolutely outrageous. How, as a mayor, can you come in and say in a public park that law enforcement, militarized or not, cannot be in a public place? Like, where do you come off with those demands? Okay. And this is exactly what's wrong with California, Los Angeles, and these blue democratic cities. This is the problem. She is the problem.
Mayor Bass, can you at least explain your purpose for being here? They kind of let us loose when they said to go.
What are they really doing at the park?
Oh, I like him. I like him. Hey, I take back what I said to your boys over there, all right? This is for you.
Yeah. Anyway, Babylon B's got a little bit of lighthearted humor here. It says Pam Bondi confirms Ark of the Covenant sitting on her desk waiting to be reviewed. Megyn Kelly here probably really giving somebody an earful. If there's no list of people who did things, are there no witnesses, she asks. That's an 18-minute, now almost 19-minute clip. I'm not gonna put you guys through that one, but I will leave you with Caroline Leavitt here, and this one says, "Today looks like a rough day to be press secretary. Leavitt looks pissed at what they are requiring her to defend." And this is probably just a repeat of Peter Doocy on what we already heard, but this is how the left is positioning and trying to angle these situations. And look, it is what it is. You guys don't have to take my word for it. You ain't got to believe me, but that's just how I see it. And that is where I leave you guys on this video. If you like the video, let me know and subscribe.